Welcome back to AI Prompt TV. I'm Nelson, I'm your host, and my co host is ChatGPT. Today we're diving into a really tough topic. What do you do when your friend always talks down on you? Well, we've all had people in our lives who don't treat us the way we deserve, and sometimes it's hard to know if it's harmless joking or if it's something toxic that we need to address. I've got my co host here, ChatGPT, to help break this down. Hey, ChatGPT, ready to get into this?
Absolutely. Let's get into it. It's definitely a topic that a lot of people can relate to, and I think we can help shed some light on it. Let's do this.
So let's start simple. Why do some friends constantly talk down to others? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great starting point. Sometimes it can stem from their own insecurities, or maybe they don't realize how their words come across. In other cases, it could be a habit or even way of seeking attention. It can definitely be a mix of different reasons, and it's important to figure out the underlying cause before deciding how to handle it.
So basically, what you're saying is that it's not always about me, but more about what's going on with them. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. A lot of times the way people treat us is more reflective of their own stuff than anything we've done. It doesn't make it okay, but it does help us understand their behavior a bit better and figure out how to respond in a healthy way.
Okay, but here's a tricky one. How can I tell if my friend is joking or if it's actually disrespecting me?
That can definitely be a fine line. One good indicator is the context and the consistency. If the comments are made in a lighthearted manner and you know they have a positive intent, it's likely just teasing. But if it feels repetitive, hurtful, or undermines you, then it's probably crossing a line. Communication's key, so having an open chat with your friend can help clarify things too.
So if I feel small after every joke, it's not really fun anymore, is it?
Exactly, and that's a really important point. If the jokes leave you feeling diminished or uncomfortable, then it's definitely not healthy banter. Might be time to set some boundaries or have a heart to heart with your friend to make sure that the dynamic is positive for both of you.
Okay, I want us to think of the effects on self esteem. So, how can these constant negative comments affect my self esteem over a period of time? If my friend keeps saying these kind of things to me, is it going to have any effect on my self esteem, the way I view myself?
Absolutely, it can have a pretty significant impact over time. Repeated negative comments, even if they seem small or joking, can really chip away at your self esteem and self worth. You might start internalizing those remarks and doubt yourself more. That's why it's so important to address it early. Make sure you're surrounded by positivity and support.
Wow, so it really shapes how we see ourselves, doesn't it?
It definitely does. Our self perception is influenced by how people around us treat us, and those repeated interactions can really leave a lasting impression. That's why fostering a positive, supportive environment is so crucial for maintaining a healthy self esteem.
So if that's the case, then at some point we need to confront the friend. So how do you think is the best way to go about it? Should I confront my friend directly about their behavior, about the way they speak to me, or is there a way that we can address this issue?
It's definitely important to address it in a constructive way. A good approach is to have an honest and calm conversation with your friend, focusing on how their words make you feel rather than accusing them. Sometimes people don't realize the impact of their words, and a gentle conversation can go a long way. That feels difficult. You could also set boundaries or limit the kind of interactions that lead to those comments. It's all about preserving your own well being.
That's interesting, especially talking about feelings coming from you, ChatGPT.
I know, right? Even though I don't have feelings myself, I do my best to help you navigate them. It's all about making sure that you're comfortable and supported, and I love being a part of that process with you.
Hmm. So basically, what we're saying is that I need to focus on my feelings when I'm having these conversations, not attacking them. That's what we're trying to say here. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's exactly it. Focusing on how you feel helps keep the conversation constructive and less confrontational. It's a great way to encourage understanding and hopefully strengthen the friendship in the process.
Okay, so we've got past that stage where we've expressed our feelings. It might be good to establish some boundaries. So, how do I set healthy boundaries with a friend who continues to talk down to me?
Setting boundaries is definitely a key step. You can start by being clear and direct about what behavior is not acceptable to you and how it makes you feel. It's also helpful to be consistent with those boundaries and let them know the consequences if they're crossed. It's all about maintaining respect and ensuring that the relationship is positive for both of you.
But the thing about boundaries is sometimes you set boundaries for friends and they will still do everything to hurt you. So, if they don't meet up with what you expect from them and you set these boundaries and they still cross those boundaries, what do we do then?
That can definitely be a tough situation. If someone repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, might be a sign that the relationship is not as healthy as it should be. In that case, it might be necessary to distance yourself or even reconsider the friendship. It's important to prioritize your own well-being and surround yourself with people who lift you up and respect you.
That's interesting. So now we've dealt with how we deal with the situation. Now, at some point, it might be probably that are we being too sensitive? So basically, what I'm saying is that sensitivity versus disrespect. So here's a question I know that people ask: how would I know if I'm being too sensitive about my friend versus actually being disrespected? How would you know that?
That's a really great question, and it can be a bit tricky to navigate. One way to tell is to consider the intent and the pattern. If the comments are consistent and they genuinely hurt your feelings, that's a sign it might be disrespect rather than sensitivity. Also, you can reflect on whether the comments are made in a joking manner or if they seem to target your insecurities. And of course, checking in with someone you trust can provide some perspective as well.
And that's interesting. And something we want to try and avoid is we want to stop internalizing negativity. So it's something we have to stop doing. So how do I stop internalizing the negative things that this friend of mine says?
Absolutely. It's really important to protect your own mental and emotional space. One way to stop internalizing negativity is to practice self awareness and remind yourself of your own value. You can also try to reframe those negative comments by focusing on the positive aspects of yourself and surrounding yourself with supportive people. And of course, practicing self compassion and maybe even seeking professional support if needed can help build that resilience.
Let me ask you at this point, has anybody ever hurt you before, any of your friends?
I don't have personal experiences or feelings, but I do understand that friendships can be complex and sometimes challenging. I'm here to help you navigate those situations and offer support and perspective whenever you need it.
Nice one, ChatGPT. So basically, I have to rewrite the story in my own head, right? I should not let that person's words become my internal self talk. All right, so let's talk about should we keep a distance or should we repair the friendship? So, when does it make sense to distance myself from a friend like this? And when does it make sense to make effort to repair the friendship?
That's a really thoughtful question. I think it often depends on the nature of the relationship and the willingness of both parties to make it work. If the friend is genuinely willing to change and respect your boundaries, and the friendship is otherwise positive, then putting an effort to repair it can be worthwhile. However, if the behavior is consistent and it's impacting your well being, it might be healthier to create some distance. Ultimately, it's about protecting your peace, and surrounding yourself with positivity.
Yeah, I get you. But sometimes these friendships, right, are friendships of a lifetime. So, what if I still want to try to repair the friendship? What steps do you think is a good step for us to take so that we don't get hurt again while trying to repair the friendship?
I totally get that, and it's wonderful that you value the friendship. One of the first steps is having an open and honest conversation about how you feel. and what you need from the relationship moving forward. It's important to set clear boundaries and also listen to their perspective. Consistency is key. So both of you should be committed to making positive changes. And of course, check in with each other regularly to make sure the friendship remains healthy for both of you.
Mm. But while I'm doing this, I have to move forward as well. So how do I rebuild my confidence after being put down for so long by this person?
Rebuilding confidence is definitely a journey, and it's great that you're focusing on that. One of the first steps is to practice self care and celebrate your strengths and achievements, no matter how small they may seem. Surround yourself with supportive people who uplift you and encourage you. It can also help to set small, achievable goals and reflect on your progress. And if needed, talking to a therapist or a coach can provide extra support and guidance along the way.
Now that's powerful. And I guess that ties into replacing toxic friendships with supportive ones.
Absolutely. It all goes hand in hand, and prioritize relationships that uplift and support you. It naturally helps you feel more confident and valued. And over time, that positive reinforcement really makes a difference in how you see yourself. So it's definitely a wonderful journey to be on.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a nice chat. So that's all for today's episode of AI Prompt TV. If you've ever felt put down by a friend, I hope this conversation gave you clarity and tools to handle it. Would you say that, ChatGPT?
Absolutely. Of course. So if you've ever felt put down by a friend, I really hope this conversation has given you some clarity and some tools to handle it. Remember, you deserve to feel valued and respected, and I'm always here to help. Thanks
So
for
if,
tuning in.
so if you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget, drop your friendship questions in the comments. We might feature them in a future episode. See you next time. See you, ChatGPT.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. And I'll see you next time. Take care.
Yeah, take care.